Today we're looking at the teacher and student fight with Paladin. Imagine that. Since Warlick is the bigger threat by far, we're going to just kind of skim over what Nuterra can do at this point. Basically, she spams boost and bonus debuffs, which will make the fight longer and therefore also more difficult as Warlick gets stronger over time. Warlick, on the other hand, does not have a set rotation and instead follows a cooldown system which you can somewhat affect with your own actions. He has a priority system where he will use certain attacks first if more than one is available. If both your magic defense and dodge are lower than Warlick's bonus, he will try to attack you with a energy element nuke guaranteed to crit, dealing massive damage. However, under normal circumstances, this won't happen. Second, he will set up a reflective shield for 3 turns. Third, he uses an ice attack that increases your health resistance by 50 and decreases your boost by 50%, as well as increase his bonus by 75, which probably will put him over the edge to use the energy nuke. Fourth, he uses an attack with darkness and wind as the elements, which has 2 separate effects depending on your all resistance. If your all resistance is below 20, he will heal for the damage he deals to you. However, if your all resistance is above 20, such as in this video, he will copy it for 4 turns, assuming at least one of the hits connects. If none of these attacks are available, he will use a fire element attack that also applies a 1-turn dodge, presumably as a counterplay to Chaos Weaver and other death-proof shenanigans. Each of these attacks also increase his mana gauge, which once it hits 100, he will immediately stun himself, remove all of his buffs, as well as heal himself for 20% and give him a permanent 10% damage boost every time. All in all, the mechanics of this fight are much more complex than the fight itself, especially using Paladin, as you mostly need to just drop the shield whenever you see ice. This way you will always prevent the nuke from coming, and sometimes you can also catch the all resistance sucking move into the shield and hopefully not get hit by it. Although you should not rely on this as it is 4 hits, so there's a decent chance that at least one of them will get through the shield. Since this video was made with the mostly standard 60 nice all resistance, this means that the fight gets dragged on a lot longer than it probably should. So it would not be a bad idea to swap out your equipment to something that can either not get hit when you're shielding, or better yet, just swap out to something that does not have over 20 all resistance, making it considerably faster to deal with. I wanted to make this fight as straightforward as possible, so I elected not to use any kind of equipment swapping to deal with Warlick's gimmicks, and instead I decided to just deal with it, because more or less Paladin can survive for an extended period of time in this situation, long enough where you can use a potion and a mana potion between a seal loop, and you should be more or less okay. I also did not have any kind of meaningful weapon special around, because most of them are luck-based, and I would rather avoid that if possible here. You may have noticed that at some point in the fight, I occasionally attack Nuthera instead of Warlick, and that's to avoid the reflective shield, which will deal roughly 100 damage per hit. So I would rather not take that, and instead those turns are generally used to set up the Aura of Light, which will decrease the damage of the all-sucking move, which we're actively not actually always avoiding here, as well as consistently giving that 25% boost up. Occasionally I do take the hits anyways, so I can at least attempt to apply Prismatic Light on Warlick so that he would deal less damage. It was fairly difficult to get proper damage in on Warlick, since he usually has some kind of a defensive mechanism going on, and it can be kind of tricky to keep track of all the cooldowns and whatnot. You need to be fairly careful in this fight to not heal while the ice spell is affecting your healing, otherwise you're going to hose yourself pretty quickly here. In addition, even if you're not affected by that, Seal of Salvation will actually not fully heal you with the gear that was used here, which is again the standard 69 all resistance, with the exception of replacing Gloomclave with Ultra Omni Nightblade, because light. While you could play around that by swapping some resistances around as usual, this is also helpful in the sense that you can use Seal fairly early and not entirely waste it. You can definitely see how close I was to dying here at the right at the end. However, after Warlick is dead, this fight turns mostly trivial, and what I did here was just swap 2 Coldfish Knights and slap a Seal on and play defensively until my mana was entirely filled. Again, you could skip all of this by just using food or having more than 2 potions. No problems here, but I did not do that, so instead I wasted 7 minutes. You obviously don't need to see any of that, so instead let's get into Nuthera's mechanics, since now they might actually slightly matter. They don't. Nuthera is separated into 3 separate phases, which are dictated by her health. The first phase will loop through the various attacks you have been seeing so far, including a bonus debuff and a damage debuff, as well as a heal/shield that she sometimes applies. The second phase starts at 66% and also sets her to exactly that, and it replaces the previously described effects with a dot, a stun/heal per hit, and a damage boost. Once she is down to 33%, she sets her remaining HP to 50% and basically uses both of these movesets at once. While her damage starts to become more respectable somewhere around this point, Paladin handles it pretty easily, and as long as your dragon has the bonus buff available, the water shield should not actually matter. Basically, you can more or less consider the fight won as soon as Warlick is gone and you've managed to heal yourself out of any kind of a possible danger zone. And pretty much there you go. That's the entire fight. I would strongly recommend you to check the endgame wiki, which I will presumably link in the description, because it has all of this information in a readable form that's not voiced by me, which is a plus.